Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, as you saw from the thumbnail, we're going to be covering the newest iteration, the long-awaited and talked about, one of the most talked about flankers right now in 2020 so far. This is Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum Intense, a 2020 release. Previously, we had the first two iterations, the 2008 original The One EDT, and then in 2015, we had the Eau de Parfum. I'm going to show you guys in this video what I think about this fragrance, if it smells like something else, if it's worth your time when it comes to performance, the scent itself, and the pricing. So if you guys want to learn all about Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP Intense, stick around, it's coming up next. Welcome back to another video. I'm Max Forti. If you guys like to make a great first impression, smelling great is definitely a great way to do it. In today's video, as you saw, this is going to be all about the newest iteration of Dolce & Gabbana The One, the EDP Intense. Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP Intense is actually readily available now at your local general store. I was able to pick mine up at Macy's. And you're looking at two main sizes, 50 ml, which will run you about $80, or the 100 ml, like the one you're going to see here in this video. It's going to run you about $100, give or take. The new Dolce & Gabbana EDP Intense, The One, is actually an oriental leather scent, and the nose behind this one is Jean-Christophe Hérault. I'm going to start off by saying I am a huge fan of Dolce & Gabbana, and I'm a huge fan of the One lineup of fragrances, including the original one from 2008, which is a staple in my collection, my rotation, which is actually a crowd favorite. It's a tobacco sweet ambery scent. Anybody that's in the fragrance community, anybody that collects fragrance or has worn any of the top selling fragrances in the world today is familiar with Dolce & Gabbana The One 2008 release. Fast forward to 2015, we had the EDP formulation, which is actually even better than the EDT because you did get another hour and a half or 2 hours when it comes to performance. Now, scent on scent alone, they are actually pretty similar to each other. I find the EDP a little bit smoother and again, a little longer lasting than the EDT, but both are great scents. Now, if you wanted something a little even heavier, spicier, smokier version of the One, you would go with this one here, which is Dolce & Gabbana Royal Night, which is an exclusive limited edition to the Dubai Middle Eastern market, I believe released in 2016, don't quote me on that. And this is pretty much adding spices, cardamom heavy, note up top, along with oud. If you like Serge Shooting Stars collection more than words, you'd really appreciate this particular fragrance. But again, let me go back here, let me digress and talk about the newest release, the 2020 The One Intense Eau de Parfum. Now, this particular fragrance opens up very spicy, creamy, and extremely inviting. There's also a spicy note of, I believe, cardamom up top. You don't have the tobacco that you have on the other previous iterations. Instead, you have this almost spicy iris, floral kind of an undertone that you get into the heart of the fragrance. But it is, from the get-go, a very sensual, sexy, appealing type scent. In fact, I have a funny story here. When I actually went and purchased this at Macy's, I was actually trying it at the store, and one of the sales associates that was not familiar with this release, and she absolutely loved the scent. She's like, wow, I'm gonna buy this for myself. It smells really good. This is perhaps a little bit unisex and a little bit more androgynous if you compare to the other iterations. When you look at the EDT, the Eau de Parfum, or the Royal Night, I would say this one here, the Eau de Parfum Intense, is definitely the most androgynous of all of the whole collection, all the iterations up to this point. I do have some components in here, creamy floral undertone nuance that will give this almost like a fragrance that I can see a lady pulling off very beautifully. When you look at all the people, the talks in the community and the different groups, many people are not giving this particular fragrance high marks, and I can see why, but we're gonna get to that particular conversation in just a second. I wanna just start by saying that the opening of this fragrance is extremely nice and very, very promising. You're going to get a trifecta of creamy orange, mandarin orange with cypress, and a creamy cardamom sort of a facet that you get with this fragrance that I absolutely love. As soon as I spray this on, I was in love with it. I thought this was going to be wow, this is a great scent. It's not exactly a flanker that you would expect like Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense. This is actually going into a different direction, a more spicier, heavy, slash floral, creamy, oriental, spicy nuance that you didn't get with the other EDP and EDT from this particular collection, which I did like. I thought this was rather bold and daring from Dolce & Gabbana. Having said that, as you get into the heart and into the dry down, you're going to get other resinous components that will also play a role in this fragrance, like labdanum. There's a little bit of a patchouli, a chocolatey kind of patchouli, and that spicy cardamom is going to stay throughout the life of this fragrance. However, it was a little bit underwhelming for me after the first hour and a half or so. It pushes nice for the first hour, and then it gets kind of close to the skin. You do get a nice sillage, but again, it's going to project for about an hour and a half. If you do spray your clothes, it'll be right around the two-hour mark, but no more than that, and then it's going to give you just a nice scent bubble are a little less than an arm's length, so people have to get close to really get whiffs of this fragrance, which is the disappointing part of the scent. If performance, and this is again, when I said at the beginning, this is very promising when you first spray this fragrance, this was extremely promising and very inviting and very appealing to me, very sexy. Unfortunately, it falls flat after the first hour and a half, 2 hours. Not that the scent dies down too much, but it gets really close to the skin. The scent itself is actually pretty good still. The dry down is going to be amazing. What I get in the dry down is going to be a mix between Tom Ford Noir Extreme, that sweet, ambery, kind of a gourmand kind of a fragrance, with a combination of Givenchy Pie, that vanilla benzoin kind of a resinous dry down. So I love the fragrance from beginning to end as far as the scent is concerned. It's a very, very good, sensual, sexy fragrance. Did love it. My wife loved it as well. But again, when it comes to performance, it does fall flat. I get about 7 hours, top 6 to 7 hours, very, very close to the skin. Once you get to the 4 to 5 hour mark into this fragrance, it's going to be very, very hard to get the fragrance. I probably got anosmic from it, but people did say they were smelling it, but they had to get really close to my neck, which I do spray my neck and my clothes. As they got close to me, they say, wow, you smell really good today. So I've been wearing this for about a week now. It is a really, really nice fragrance. I did love it when it comes to the scent itself. However, performance is a little bit flat, and this was very promising, ladies and gentlemen. If this was a little stronger, if the leather, supposedly there's leather in here, but I get a very, very subdued and controlled suede leather way in the background. It's really not prominent. If the leather was a little darker, a little bit stronger in here, and you had other stronger, spicier components making this fragrance a little bit stronger to the projection, long-lasting power, if this projected like a beast, perhaps if this was an eau de parfum, if this was an EDT, it would actually project better. So hopefully they'll introduce another one, Dolce & Gabbana, the One Extreme, which will take this particular DNA and amp up the projection and the power of the fragrance. Then it would be a winner. If I had to give this a rating just on the scent alone, it would be 8.5. I really enjoy 8.5, the scent itself. But overall performance and versatility, it's going to fall into the 6.5, 7. Versatility, I think it's not as versatile as the other ones. It does have this really nice sensual romantic vibe to it. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. I think if you want something sensual, definitely consider checking this one out for your Valentine's Day scent. But again, it falls flat in the performance category, and the price itself, $100 for 100 ml, it is a little bit on the high side. Seasons, I would say, you could definitely pull this off all year round if you control the sprayers. It doesn't push too much. So even if it's hot out, I think it's versatile to the point that for night wear, evening wear, romantic settings, date, first date, this would be a great scent. You could definitely wear this all year round under the right settings. As far as ages, I think 20 and up to appreciate the scent. It is playful and sensual enough that I think anybody that has a hankering for good scents would definitely appreciate this particular fragrance. So I'd say 20 and up, even a high schooler, early, first year in college would really enjoy this particular scent. I'm sure of that. My final thoughts on Dolce & Gabbana, the One Eau de Parfum Intense. It is a nice release. It's not great, again, because of performance. If you do appreciate fragrances like Issey Miyake, Noir Ombre, if you like Yves Saint Laurent's La Nuit de l'Homme, if you like those powdery, dry down, sensual, romantic night, conducive type scents, you're definitely going to enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely consider at least trying this fragrance. You might fall in love with it. I like it a lot. If it wasn't for the performance, this would have been like an 8.5, 9 for me. No problems there. So those are my thoughts on Dolce & Gabbana, the One Eau de Parfum Intense. Let me know if you have tried this particular fragrance. Do you like it, love it, hate it? What are your thoughts on this particular release? How do you think it compares with the other flankers? I do like the other flankers a little bit better than that as far as the scent profile goes. I think this has a lot of potential. Perhaps Dolce & Gabbana will really release this again next year with a stronger, more powerful iteration of this particular scent profile, which is actually pretty nice. So those are my thoughts on Dolce & Gabbana, the One EDP Intense 2020, guys. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, remember, fragrance is emotion, so wear what truly moves you. I'll see you again real soon.